Hello and welcome to Understanding Narcissists. Thank you so much for joining me. In this episode, I want to talk about narcissists and logistics, or narcissists and scheduling. It's more scheduling for me, but I guess it falls within the whole scheme of logistics and planning and communication and coordination. If there were a single personal rant video, this would probably be it. This would be the video where I kind of go off about my issues with narcissists and what my experience has been. Let me know if this has been your experience as well. If there's one thing that I notice about narcissists that I can't get away from, that has really been a thorn in my side, it's been logistics and planning and scheduling. It's when you try to coordinate with them about anything, trying to do anything, the tiniest of things, there's always this back and forth. As you know, that is because they don't care much for the actual thing that you're talking about, the event you're trying to schedule, the get-together, the activity, the thing you have to do for them. It's more about the actual moment of them talking. They like to talk at you. They like to have reasons to talk at you. And they like to kind of see your response and I think put you in a subordinate position. They just like it. It sustains them. They need it. You can't really change anything about that. That's just the way it is. The reason I have to go on about it, I know I've mentioned it before, but not in any real great detail, is that when I think of narcissists, I put out a lot of important indicators or signs of their behavior. There's other things that help you determine what they're doing and how to counter it, how to protect yourself, and so forth. But when my experience comes into play here, the thing that I actually use is the scheduling sign, which is they're impossible to coordinate with. Sometimes they're impossible to communicate with, which is interesting because all you're ever doing is talking to them. That never stops. That just keeps going on ad nauseum. Now, it makes sense that a lot of talking without very much meaningful communication would fall into this kind of behavior because, by definition, the sort of passive-aggressive behavior, their passive-aggressive nature, it makes it so that their communication will be obtuse. They'll be cryptic. I've heard it described that way before. Cryptic speech. That's the kind of thing where you're really kind of on the hamster wheel and you're doing what they want and everything, but you're not getting anything done. And so that's really one of the superficial signs of a narcissist, is somebody who is doing all this stuff or appears to be doing all this stuff and is talking a great deal, but never actually achieves much of anything, and nothing ever really changes. And there's two ways you can look at that. Naturally, you can say, well, they're not very good at what they're doing and they're not learning from their mistakes, so they're not getting anywhere. Or they're really good at what they're doing and they're doing exactly what they want to be doing. That's what they seek to accomplish. And that's really the case with a narcissist, is they don't really want to be doing anything else but nothing. They want to be in that controlling environment. They want to be in that position. It's not even that they're fulfilled in that capacity. That is simply them. That is simply their life. That is their lifeblood. And so there's nothing else there for them except that kind of living off of other people emotionally. So the kind of crazy hang-ups you get in with them and how you're always sort of, I guess the nice word to use would be intertwined. It's not intertwined, it's really tangled up and knotted and screwy. And you feel like you can't get out. But all you're ever doing is engaging with them. And in addition, all you're ever doing is talking about fixing problems. And more specifically, them telling you that you need to fix something. And then you try to coordinate with them. And it's something really mundane. It's something, growing up, my experience was it had to do with the house. It had to do with these, what we have to, usually just organizing, cleaning, stuff like that. It's not very difficult stuff. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. But when you're trying to do that and there's a narcissist in the house, it becomes impossible, because anything that can become a problem will become a problem. Everything has to be a big hang-up. Everything has to be a big issue, because it's really kind of a capital stock that they can store away and use later. They got to grab all of that for themselves so they can complain about it. And that's really the case with everything. And that's where you get all those hang-ups and those issues, because you really can't afford to get anything done with a narcissist. They don't want that stuff to go away, so they have an interest in keeping it really chaotic, even at the point of really coaxing you into the habit of making problems. So, for instance, narcissists are good at a number of things. Finding people who have a certain issue that they can exploit, so they can bring up this issue with them again and again, and they can always hold it over their head. And also taking what that person believes is wrong with them, even when it's not. And that's probably even more powerful, the stuff that you think is wrong with you, but it's really, maybe it's a strength, but you look down on it because maybe somebody told you it was bad and that affected you forever. And so you can't imagine it being a good thing about you. And so they exploit that as well, really perceptions. And so they'll make you think that's a bad thing, and they'll hold that over you. And maybe it's something you can't help. Maybe it's something that you don't have a choice, but it's still your fault. It's still your problem. It's still a problem for them, and you have to fix it. What they're looking for are they're eternalizing. There has to be something they can set in stone that's a problem forever. They won't say that, of course, but that's what they're doing. They have to find something they have easy and ready access to, so they have a channel to blame you. They have a reason to blame you for something and bring it up with you and have it out with you and have a conflict, have a fight, or just constantly poke you with it. At the very least, it's worse than that. I also don't want to imply or give the impression that they're always like that, because they're not. It's a selective thing, mostly. So there are certain areas, certain things where they're, quite productive. They can figure things out. I mean, they're good at control, for instance. I feel like most narcissists can find a place of employment and hold down a job, mostly. So that whole scheduling problem, communication problem, where it's really difficult to solve things with them because they're really the wrench in the gears, it's selective, not universal. And then an additional complexity is that there are things that they simply can't help but fail at, and they do very poorly at. Cooperation might be one of those, and might deserve a video of its own. Narcissists are just very uncooperative. They don't get along with people in a productive way. They're not team players. They can't really support others in a way that would make everybody successful, because they have to be the ones that are successful. They have to be the ones that are special. They're not going to lead a team to win a really big game. It's just not in their ability to do so. They can't accept it. Maybe in high school or something, and they're the star player and they get all the attention. Yeah, that could work. But when it comes to real teamwork and real cooperation, they're just not up to it, because they're going to lose that attention, and then they're going to lose that esteem. They don't feel secure, and they simply can't handle it. Like I said, they're a wrench in the gears. They're sand in the gears. It just doesn't work. They have to be the star. They have to be the center of attention. They have to be kind of a celebrity or an idol, a hero of some kind. and they've got to feel like they're better than everybody else. And in some way or another, people are reflecting that to them. People are telling them that, yes, you're the best. Yes, you're the greatest. There's no one like you. And that also factors into why you really can't get anything done with them. Part of that cooperation. The other thing, which I've touched upon before, is that narcissists only care about control. So if they have to do something that is not even emotionally difficult for them to do, there's no emotional hang-ups, of which there are usually many for a great deal of things with narcissists. There's just a lot of things they can't do or won't do. I think it's can't do, but you pick. If it doesn't give them some kind of return, like I described, that narcissistic supply, making them feel great, there's no point in doing it. So there's a lot of things that you might intrinsically enjoy, I might enjoy, that they would look at and be like, that's bizarre, it's alien to them, because you don't get anything from it, because it's all about control and this reflection, this illusion. And so if that's not involved, there's simply no point to doing anything, because that's all the world is made up of, is everybody trying to look a certain way and be great and gain power and use it over others and subordinate others. So it's not always intentional. Not every failure or shortcoming of theirs or poor performance is deliberate in trying to cause hang-ups with people. Sometimes it's just not within their ability because they don't get anything for it, or it'll actually hurt them because it might take away from what they think they have, what they feel they have. And maybe they're right. Maybe bestowing others with too great a compliment on their performance or something they did or their character takes away from them. That's how they feel. That's the only thing I can imagine, the only thing that makes sense to me, and what I see time and time again. And that's been my experience, is with a narcissist, everything, it's like moving through thorny brush. You just get caught every step. And it feels kind of weird. At first, you're like, okay, this seems legitimate, but you realize every time you try to get through, you're getting caught up in the second, third, fourth step again and again, and it never stops. And then you're like, what's going on here? And here's another thing that narcissists don't understand. They don't have an understanding of easing you into it exactly. They do a little bit at the beginning, especially with a relationship. But the thing is, once you're away from them for any period of time, you have exposure to other people, you realize how alien they are when you're not around the narcissist, because it's just so weird. It's so hard to describe, because you're like, wow, by and large, the world is not like this. But when they're around, it's just completely different. I mean, they walk into the room. They come home from a business trip. They come home from work, anything. They come home from, being off. And usually they don't leave you in the first place. They don't like to stay away because they need to be in control. But when you do get those breaths of fresh air, they feel weird and they're scary because you're so used to the abuse, but you are kind of like, wow, what is going on? Because life is a lot easier than they lead you to believe. That's probably the lesson in my life lesson I want to hand over in this video to you, to everyone, is that in my very short life, I have learned that life's a lot easier than the narcissist leads you to believe. Life is very hard. It's just that the day in, day out type of experience, and like to my life today than when I was growing up, it's bizarre how much easier and simpler it is. Yes, bad things happen. There's difficulties, there's challenges. But no matter what's going on, it's always so much easier when there isn't a narcissist around. Suddenly, life becomes something that's, there's prospects, there's opportunities. You can get excited, you can do things. But with a narcissist, no way, not going to happen. And that's where there's a lot of pent-up energy that then you can use to be successful and pursue the things you want to pursue and become accomplished in your own way, in your own definition of success that you just can't do when you're around a narcissist. Now, there's still things you can do around a narcissist that can help you learn in that moment, that gives you more motivation and energy and understanding for the future, which I'll talk about in later videos. But gosh, it's just fascinating. And I guess that's what I want to hand over to, is all those difficulties, all those hang-ups. They really aren't real, not the way the narcissist does it. They're very good at engineering that world, and it's just something that's not accurate at all. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below about your experience on this topic, if any, and what you think about having to actually work with a narcissist and do anything with them whatsoever, and what your experience has been. I'm going to guess very difficult, because my experience is always difficult. Whether it's work-related, whether it's personal, whether it's going out to dinner. Everything's difficult. It's hard. There's always hang-ups. Anyway, share your experience. I'd like to see it. I'm sure others would like to see it. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next video. Have a great day. Bye.